It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show! Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Yay.
Awesome.
Ducky.
Hope everybody out there is doing okay. So, what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Oh, gosh. Well, we certainly had a blast Saturday night.
Woohoo!
Yes, we did.
Most of us did anyway.
I'm sorry. I missed it.
Yeah. Well, at least you have an excuse. I'm not saying whether it's a good excuse or a bad excuse.
But I had one, guys.
Yep, you did. You had a story, a sob story. It worked. It was fine. No, I'm kidding. But sometimes you just gotta. Oh, well, never mind. What I was about to say sounded really bad. Sometimes you just gotta take care of what you gotta take care of.
Right.
Put it that way. Because me saying sometimes you just gotta sleep it off was really not gonna come across well. But yeah.
But that's what I did.
Right. Well, I know. That doesn't make it sound any better. But yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't make it to this one, so
there's always
next one for sure. Yep.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that was cool. A nice chat. It was fun. Good wings at Wing City too, and good fries. So, and beyond that, I'm still working on the massive pile. I've actually gotten down to more Hellboy now, so not really getting any lighter. That reading pile of mine. It's getting slightly shorter, but it's not getting any lighter. Heavy stuff.
Okay.
Getting ready for the Hellboy movie?
I want to hear some opinions before I make a decision on that. I don't know.
From the screenshots and stuff I've seen, I forget the guy's name who's playing Hellboy now, but I think he's a pretty good replacement for Ron Perlman. Even the look, they've kind of captured it, and haven't, although they changed actors, I don't think they've changed too much of the look of Hellboy.
If I remember correctly, his name is David Harbour.
David Harbour.
I believe.
Yeah, for some reason, he's done something else that I've watched for sure. Let me see.
Yeah, he's been around a bit.
Stranger Things.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to hear some opinions before I go committing to actually
$20 tickets.
Well, for me, it would be stepping into a movie theater for the first time in 7 years, or something like that. But I don't know. We'll see. There are some things about the trailer that I saw that looked really good, and there were some things I have concerns with.
Yeah.
I am glad to see Hellboy back on the big screen. I just kind of don't know what to think beyond that yet. It's too early to tell.
Yeah.
Too close to call.
Did you like the previous movies?
Yes.
Yes.
I did. Absolutely.
I think they told a pretty good story. So I was kind of surprised to see I don't know if they're calling this a reboot? A remake?
I don't know if they're calling it anything right now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they know what to call it, but anyway. We'll see.
I'm with you. We shall see.
Okay.
Well, I've been a bum I've been watching a lot of movies, trying to catch up on that kind of stuff. But one I did want to point out, I finally watched the Teen Titans Go movie, and that was actually not that bad. I didn't know. I mean, I'm one of the weird ones, one of the few people out there that I like the new Teen Titans Go. I don't like it as much as I liked the previous version of it, but it's okay. It's funny. It's stupid laugh. If you want a stupid, easy laugh, that's the show to watch. But the movie was a little different. Although they had the easy, stupid laugh, it wasn't. It was kind of more of poking fun at themselves and pretty much all the superheroes in the DC world. Stan Lee made a cameo. They had to remind him it was not a Marvel movie. So that was kind of one of those, kind of moments, But I was surprised. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would on that one. But, I think Amazon has it now. So if you haven't seen it, like I said, it's cute. Definitely a lot of, if you're a comic fan, that a little Easter eggs here and there for us to kind of go, haha, kind of thing. So, but yeah, I haven't been reading my floppies as much because, of course, when the comic book store closed down, I picked up quite a few trades and they're easier to carry. So I've been reading on Klaus, The New Adventures of Santa Claus, which is actually the second story in the series, I believe. The first one was amazing. If you guys haven't read them, it's like I don't know why, but December every year they throw out a new Klaus story, and it's usually after Christmas, so I think they could kind of market that better and do it a couple of months before Christmas. So,
well, you're talking about it in March, so whatever.
Right? Yeah. But it's kind of one of those. I have a love-hate with Grant Morrison. Either I really love his work or I really hate his work. It depends on what he's doing. With Klaus, I went into it with an open mind because it's Grant Morrison. It's also Dan Mora, so a little bit more of an open mind. But he's done a kick-ass job on Klaus. I'd have to say that he does have better work, but this is some of his better work and characters that I like from him. So it's been an interesting story. For some reason, I remember starting the story when it first came out and not finishing. I don't know if I ever got the singles or not, so it's kind of neat to go back and get a refresher. But in the back of the book, they have, because I'm reading the trade, but they have the artist gallery. And some of the artwork in there is just, I hate to keep saying amazing, but it's really amazing, really detailed. And you can tell a lot of time goes into these. So.
Yeah, Dan Mora is pretty awesome.
He is, yep. So if you haven't read this one, like I said, it's the second one in the series. I think there's 5 stories out now. So it's kind of a little bit earlier when he was still kind of experimenting. Because, you have to admit, when you hear that Grant Morrison is writing Santa Claus, it's kind of like, oh my God, he's either going to be a heroin addict or just not the kind of Santa Claus you want to read about. But he did a really, like I said, really good job on these. So I look forward to him every year. So I hope he continues to do those too. But on a happy note, he is working on season 2 of Happy. So cross your fingers. That one should be good too.
And Dan Mora is currently doing the Buffy series. And
yes.
A knockout job.
Which looks amazing.
It does.
To steal Liz's word.
Yep.
Some people, that's the only way you can describe them. That's cool. I'll have to check that one out too.
Oh, the art's been fantastic, and this story's been it's been interesting to say the least, right, Mikey?
Yeah, we'll go with interesting for now. I'm still giving it the test run, the test
Right.
drive. It's a little too early to judge it. So,
Right.
but it is definitely interesting.
How far into the series is it?
I think issue 2 came out a week or two ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
we're
not too far.
we're either 2 or 3 right now, somewhere around there. Yeah. Okay.
For me, number 1, I'm going to agree with Liz. Teen Titans Go to the Movies is fun.
Yeah.
Seeing Stan Lee make fun of himself is fun. I don't understand the last scene of the movie where the Teen Titans are trying to make contact with those watching the movie.
But when
and saying that they're here, they're still here, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. When they first
The
talked
only
about
thing
the
I can
movie,
see is they were trying to say, we have this show also, and it's going to come back, which was kind of their Titans program 4 years ago.
mm-hmm, that ended very rudely, abruptly.
Yes.
Well, when they did the movie, they said that if the movie did well, like blockbuster numbers, that they would bring the original cartoon back. So a lot of the fans hit the movie theaters hard and heavy to get the original cartoon come back. So at the end of the movie, when they're like, we think we may have found a way to come back, that was the deal. If it did well, then they would bring the other cartoon back. And I said, it would be just like DC to honor their promise, but to putting on their streaming service, which I actually heard that's what they're going to do. So we will get it back, but you'll have to pay for their subscription service to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or not.
Or not, yeah. But yeah, that was the ending. That was probably the best part of the whole movie.
Outside of that, I did go see the big movie release of the summer, or the start of this summer. And like I discussed with my compatriots here, I was really confused with the origin of the character. So I want to hold any other comment until I have some others to speak with about this movie. We had one gentleman at the gathering Saturday that wanted to talk about the movie, but no one else had seen it. So he was kind of SOL. But I can understand now why he would want to discuss it. I've got a feeling that we would probably take different aims at it. But it was entertaining. And the cast was okay. We'll leave it at that. It was not such a big wonder. So I'm sure that it did great numbers at the box office. But that's about all I've done.
Okay.
Cool. I have not seen that one yet either.
Nor have I. Hey, Mikey, have you seen it?
Surprisingly, no.
Yes, I am surprised you have not seen that. Anyway, I picked up a few trades, and I had a chance to read 1.5 of those. I got 3 trades. I picked up Skull the Slayer, and I picked up Legionnaires, which is actually chronicling. This was basically, I'm not sure which particular revamp number you want to call it, but it was right around the whole 0 hour. If that gives you any indications how old the story arc is. And then Green Lantern Hal Jordan, which collects Emerald Dawn 1 and 2. It's the first time I read those in forever. That's pretty old. Those are pretty old miniseries. I would say, late 90s, I guess. Skull kind of interested me. It was kind of curious because I had seen the floppies and always imagined it being a licensed character. I guess I'm thinking of John Carter and some of those because it's very similar. But this was actually an original creation by Marv Wolfman, and it's about a man who had been arrested for the murder of his brother. He was a Vietnam POW and had come back, and there was altercation with his brother, and he accidentally killed him in self-defense. But he was arrested, and as he was being flown in this private plane with a couple of other people, they basically kind of flew over the equivalent of the Bermuda Triangle, and next thing you know, they're in this lost world. And it was a very short run book. It was only 8 issues, and it was never truly completed, except for the fact that Marv Wolfman, about the same time that he was writing this, was also had writing duties over at on Marvel 2-in-1. So basically, he brought them over for 2 issues of Marvel 2-in-1 to finish up the story. But it was kind of interesting little book. And like I said, Emerald Dawn, which was basically the origin of how Jordan get in the ring and all that. It was kind of nice to see that again, especially seeing M.D. Bright's artwork, which that's not a style we have seen in a while. I wonder what he's been up to about. But some really cool reads.
Neat.
Sounds like it.
Yep. Since we already mentioned it about our meet and gab in March, we'll go ahead and talk about the one that we'll have coming up next month, and that date is the 13th, Saturday, April 13th, 7 p.m. We'll still have it at Wing City. Everybody seems to like the place. It's a nice little, fun little place that has pretty good wings and fries and everything else. Everybody seems to have fun there, so we'll keep doing it there. There will be information posted on the website, and I'm sure we'll have a Facebook event set up here not too soon. It probably maybe on and by the time this episode drops. So if you're following us on Facebook, you'll see it there, and if you're interested, mark appropriately. If you're going, which we'd love for you to be there, and say that you're going, and we'll see you then.
Yep.
Woohoo!
Alrighty. For this week, we wanted to take a moment, because 80 years ago this month was the debut of a character that we're all aware of, and you really can't get away from him because he's everywhere. Not saying that's a bad thing, but he's just such a popular character, and we would figure we'd take this episode to kind of talk about him and his longevity and why he's so popular and all that. And obviously, the character I'm talking about is Batman.
Who?
Huh?
Bat who? What?
I'm
Kidding.
Batman.
Man of Bat? What is this?
Man Bat?
All right, now don't get too weird with this. Jeez.
Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Oh gosh, we gotta have a little fun talking about Batman.
I'm kind of familiar with Batman.
Just a bit.
Just a bit.
We'll go ahead and lead off then, Liz.
Oh, wow. I mean, I don't know who's this Man Bat. I guess Batman. I mean, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. People say there's not a fence, but there's a fence there. Usually you've got Marvel guys, and Marvel guys usually don't read a lot of DC and vice versa. But you mention the name Batman, and everybody knows who Batman is. I mean, he's been on TV. He's had countless cartoons, 80 years of comics. I mean, that's a lot. Wow. I mean, it's kind of like, what do you... I don't know exactly what to say about him.
Where do you start? Right.
Right. I guess most of you know I'm a collector. The Batman and Batman memorabilia probably make up about 80% of my collection. Anywhere you go, someone's always got something Batman. Doesn't matter if it's a sticker, it's a magnet. You know, there's always Batman stuff. Hang on.
Lacey likes Batman too.
She likes Batgirl. My oldest son, has always been really big into Batman. Still is. It's kind of one of those things that once he got into it, it's never left his life. Even to the point of telling me about their new baby, he used Batman to do that. So,
that's right. Batman showed up at her house.
At my house.
And said, "You're gonna be your grandmother."
It's a Bat baby. So yeah, I guess Batman will always have a close, special place in my heart. Oh, and video games. He has countless video games too. To the easy ones all the way up to the more complicated Telltale game ones. So I don't know if there's anything Batman hasn't done.
He's been a pretty busy guy over the last 80 years.
Yes, very, very busy.
Okay, Les?
Let's talk a little bit about the history. It was Detective Comics number 27 when he first appeared. That was a release date of March that year. And in 1939, and I'm not sure that it was a monthly even then. I think it was maybe a quarterly creation of Bob Kane and Bill Finger. It was something that Bob Kane wisely put a trademark on. Therefore, he essentially owned the character, although he was working for DC. And then it was National, when Batman appeared, then it became, company more or less became Detective Comics, and which is now what you consider DC. This is a character that is considered a superhero, although he has no superpowers. He cannot fly without aid. He has no supervision. He has no adamantium claws. To me, he's the person that anybody could be. They could strive to be Batman. All you have to do is come up with the huge cash to help your hobby.
And have to have an Alfred and a Lucius.
Well, that comes with the money.
Right.
He's had his origin story told and retold almost to a point where you shake your head saying, stop it already.
Right.
But I've always enjoyed Batman because I look at it and say, that's possible.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the big difference he has over the majority of superheroes in comics today. He has been the basis of other characters in other comics, just as Superman has. So it's expected. For all the naysayers, yes, Batman used a gun early on in his exploits. Then, of course, the writers ditched that idea because that, to them, made him no better than the crooks he was fighting. He took to the physical portion to defeat the criminals. Super villains he defeated by brain power.
Mm-hmm.
Like Liz says, he's been in serials. The first serial was in 1943. So it was not that long after he first appeared that Batman was given his first serial.
Right, which is a testament as to how successful it was.
Mm-hmm.
Right off the
I would say so too. And they ran, 2 serials?
I believe so.
So that's a big word right there.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he's done television. He was most well known for the Batman TV series. He has been played by numerous actors and voice actors. It's just been a very successful run for the character. And although some of the film units are kind of cheesy, it still is a strong character that doesn't normally break down the fourth wall. It doesn't. He's not one to talk to the reader or the viewer and say, hey, what do you think? Or, I'm going to do this. Does that sound like a good idea? The writers have always kept it in line, although there are so many variations by the writers. This is one of my favorite characters, and I'm glad we got to speak about this tonight because it is memorable.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to step down from the soapbox and let someone else have it.
Well, I think you hit on what made him popular is that he was, you could see it, you could be Batman if you wanted to, if you had enough money, but, I think it makes a story more relatable than having the privilege of being born on another planet and coming to another planet. Of course you're going to be superior. You're an alien, but Batman just was kind of a guy that had been pushed too far. He may not always have the right way of doing things, but he's always got the best interest at heart, the justice way of it. So I think he sometimes just gets a little gritty doing it. A lot of people are like, oh, Batman versus Superman. Well, my opinion always of Batman is that although he's strong, I mean, he trained with the League of Assassins and, he's had a lot of training to be, the physique that he has, but Batman's smart. If he comes up against someone, first time Superman, yeah, he's going to get his ass handed to him. First time knowing, but second time after he's gone home and he's analyzed all the data, has, analyzed the fighting style and how he got his ass handed to him, the second time he's more prepared, and I think he could take him. Not because their moms are the same name, but because Batman.
She went there.
I went there. But because Batman, there's always a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. He's always thinking. Although he's fighting, he's thinking about the next move, which kind of makes him kind of awesome too, is that, he was smart. It wasn't just beat him up. There was a lot of planning and data that went into, fighting a villain and stuff.
He works very hard to find his opponent's weaknesses.
He does. And I think for me, I can't remember if it was a trade or if it was their animated that came from the series, but the best Batman story for me was when he was with Justice League. And he had a file on every superhero and how to take them out. And, of course, it got in the wrong hands. I think it was Mirage got into the Batcave and got all the information. Well, they found out later on that it wasn't Batman trying to take them out, but it was Batman a way of slowing them down to where he could either help the situation, talk sense into them, but it wouldn't have killed them, Well, of course, the other superheroes, they didn't like that. We don't like that you have a kill file on us.
They got all pissy about that, really?
They did, And they pretty much told him, hey, you've got to delete the files. And he was like, no, I won't. If one day one of you go rogue, I want to be able to take your ass out.
Right. Somebody has to be ready for that.
Exactly. And of course they didn't, we'll never turn bad, which we learned in Injustice that was wrong. But, Batman's always got that plan B. Hey, I'll be your friend. I'll even fight crime with you side by side, but you go psycho, and boy, I've got a kill plan. So, but to me, that's smart. And not only that, being the normal guy of the group, to me, it was just clever thinking. You have to be prepared.
Normal.
You're from another planet. I don't know what you do when you get angry. I don't know if there's a blood moon that'll make you turn into a werewolf. I mean, you don't know. But Batman was prepared. And that's when he pretty much told him, okay, maybe I don't play well with others. And you guys do your thing, and I'll go back to Gotham, and I'll do my thing. And Superman, at the end of that, even came to him and gave him back the kryptonite bullet and told him, if someone's going to take me down, I want it to be you. So he understood the plan B for them, you know. But that's typical Batman. Like I said, was that in the floppies or was that just animated?
I think that was the floppies.
Was it?
Thomas, wasn't that the Tower of Babel storyline?
Yeah, but it was also done as an animated film called Justice League Doom.
There we go. Yep. I said I can't remember if it came from the comics, if it was canon. But
yeah, but in the original story, it was Ra's al Ghul who got access to those files, and then with the Justice League Doom, I think it was Vandal Savage. So,
yeah.
You know, why they changed that, I have no clue, but whatever.
So it's a good storyline, and it, like I said, it showed typically the way Batman thinks. You know, yes, I trust you, and I'll fight with you, but in the back of his mind, I don't trust you.
But if I ever can't trust you,
right,
I have to be prepared to deal with the situation.
Yeah, because I have seen you fight and what your powers are. You know.
Mm-hmm. Few people are as qualified to do that, for sure.
Yeah. And if I had superpowers, I think I would be like Superman. I know that Batman, before you kill me, you're going to think of every possible scenario of why you shouldn't. So you would be the person I'd want to take me out. Because you've already thought it out, and if you take me out, I deserved it.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, you know. There'd be a reason for that.
Yeah, and sort of tying together what both of you have said, it's probably a side effect of kind of where Batman came from, which was essentially noir type stuff, fiction and movies. But originally, yeah, you get the whole Batman out there with the gun shooting bad guys. Well, that's straight out of noir. And then he, of course, had character development. But the one thing that I kind of respect about how Batman has been handled over the decades is he's always been serious. Like, kind of like Les was saying, there's never been a whole lot of joking around. And, I mean, that becomes real evident when you watch the 66 TV series, the Camp TV series. The one thing you can count on, and watch all the episodes if you want to, Batman doesn't joke around. He's a very serious character, even in that setting, when everybody else around him is being as goofy as they want to be. Adam West played Batman dead serious the whole time. And I, to this day, think he did a delightful job of that. And that may have been taken to a little bit of an extreme in the 80s, and that's okay, I guess. I mean, that it kind of became part of that was kind of the time we were in at that point. So it makes some sense that Batman got really dark. But at no point has he ever been cutting up a la Deadpool in any way, or
right.
Any whatever other semi-funny. He's never. I mean, any joke he makes is like the worst groaner you can possibly imagine. On the very rare occasions that it happens, even like in the animated series, he would occasionally say something and usually made Alfred roll his eyes or something, or Robin or Batgirl or whoever. But yeah,
he's good at one-liners.
There's just a consistent. There's a consistency to the character that has spanned a really long time. I mean, even through significant character development, he has remained consistent in that he's very serious about what he does.
Yeah. Well, and he's one of the few that they haven't changed anything about his origin story.
Which, given how many times they've told it, is impressive.
Mm-hmm. I think they did there for a while try to change who actually killed his parents because it was a different storyline. But I think with the outcry from fans, they were like, okay, we can't do that. We've already told them who killed his parents, and
That's the kicker with actually answering the big mystery question, is that then you have to live with that answer.
Yeah. And as much as people want to believe and want it to be true, Joker did not kill his parents. It would have been twisted and so, perfect for their story that they have together, but it didn't happen that way.
Almost too perfect is the problem.
Yep.
It kind of would have been too good to be true from a storytelling standpoint.
Yep.
It would have been almost cliche.
And you were saying how serious he is. Isn't it kind of ironic that his main villain is just the opposite of that?
I suspect that irony was somewhat intentional.
Right. So, yeah. Which I have to say is my favorite Batman villain. Him and Scarecrow. I think Scarecrow should be used more than what he is. Even in small ways, playing on somebody's fear is probably the worst, thing you can do to them, because it's not a punch in the face, it's not a physical pain, it's you're fucking with their head, and half the time you don't even know that they are, So, to me, I think they should really tap more into the Scarecrow than what they have.
Well, and with Batman especially, his greatest asset is his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And what does Scarecrow do? He screws with people's minds.
Yep.
So it's kind of hitting Batman where it hurts. And so, yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes him a really cool match for Batman. And I don't know. I think they should use him more than they do, but I also worry about them going to the well too often with it.
Yeah.
They should do it more, but not too much more, because it'll lose something.
Well, it seems like here lately with Scarecrow, it's always like a appearance or an afterthought that he's in the storyline, It'd be nice to have a Batman versus Scarecrow storyline, not just an extra,
Right. Scarecrow actually trying to hunt down Batman for just somebody. Yeah. In a way, kind of going back to the somebody's got to do it type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody's going to pull it off, it's going to be Mr. Screw with everybody's minds.
See, and I liked in Injustice, they used Scarecrow's fear with Joker, or Joker actually used it. They kind of teamed up and they went together after Superman. And to see what they did to him, it was like, wow, why have they not done this before? I know villains, they always work together. So, but that was a really good team up, because he found a way to use that, and he messed up a lot of stuff. It was a brutal beginning. Superman killed Lois Lane, so it was a brutal beginning. But that kind of showed the power that Scarecrow has that they just haven't tapped into yet, Mm-hmm. And that was an alien they took down. So could you imagine what they could do to Superman, or to Batman? Ooh, Sean's laughing right now at that one. But yeah.
I do want to point out one thing before I jump in. You talked about his origin basically staying the same. Only major change I can think of, and I'm sure we have one listener who's been saying, okay, no, there's this, but and maybe what I'm about to mention. During the 50s, and I'm going to do a callback, because a few weeks ago we talked about Seduction of the Innocent. There was a concern that it was just too graphic, that to show both his parents being shot dead. So what they did was they showed Thomas being murdered, and then the excitement was too much for Martha, so she had a heart attack and died right there. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. They both die. How does that make things better? You know?
Because it wasn't a gun violent death.
So it wasn't. They weren't both murdered, but they still died. He still left them as an orphan. So I'm like, that's kind of the 50s thinking at the time. So.
Yeah, because it was more of a natural cause instead of by a gun.
Yeah.
And I also like in Flashpoint where instead of Thomas and Martha dying, that it was Bruce who died.
Mm-hmm.
And it made her crazy and turned her into a Joker. That was, wow. I mean, that was a good storyline there, too. But I think that's more in the Flash line, isn't it, instead of Batman?
The Flashpoint, yeah. The Flashpoint, reality, yeah.
Yeah, that one kind of made you think, too. I could see if your child was gunned down in front of you going absolutely insane. I probably would, you know. So that was a really good one too. And of course, if we're talking essential Batman, Death of a Family and Death in a Family is probably some of the greater works of Batman written too. I'm not sure who wrote those right now though. My mind blanked.
Death in a Family was Jim Starlin, and Death of a Family was Scott Snyder.
Yeah. Those are good too.
Yeah, I do want to talk about what Mikey had referred to earlier about the origins. Yeah, I mean, there was the noir characters, but there was also and that's probably what you're referring to as well, is the pulp characters like the Shadow and because there was a ton of knockoffs, the Shadow knockoffs back during this time, and Batman could be easily dismissed as one, except for there was just something different about him that caught readers' attention, and then. They noticed that there was a lot of kids reading these books. So a year later, they introduced Robin as a sidekick. The kind of, so they could imagine that they're out there fighting the bad guys alongside them, and that's that was where you kind of really saw the change of the character who was going around using the gun, going, okay, well, that's not what you do, and this is how we're supposed to do things. And even though we're technically vigilantes, but we are heroes, so that kind of thing. And I mean, y'all said it's part. I think part of the appeal is just. This is the person who is the peak of everything. Everything was through training, hard work, and perseverance. The money helped.
Yeah, the money helped, but he willed it. He willed himself into that state.
Right.
He simply made himself do it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It's not mentioned as often, but it's talking about him. This was like years of going around the world, finding the experts in certain abilities and learning from them, training from them, so where he could be the world's greatest detective and the greatest fighter and all that. I think another thing that we had not mentioned yet that has appealed to readers and fans, he has arguably the greatest rogues gallery.
Yeah.
Certainly memorable ones. I would probably put it up there number one. I'm a big fan of Spider-Man's rogues gallery and Flash's rogues and And there's some other ones, but I think there's a gap between his villains and then everybody else's, and I think that's part of the appeal because they like the villains as well.
Well, you would hope over 80 years they could build a solid rogues gallery, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think too because his is so large. Usually you just have one or two arch enemies, and he's got tons. Everybody loves to hate Batman. You know.
Yep. I mean, one of the best episodes from the animated series was a handful of them sitting around sharing stories about how they almost got him.
Yeah. He's too smart.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to point out to people, there's been a lot of articles that DC and Warner Brothers are releasing 1.5 million bats loose for Batman's anniversary. DC and Warner Brothers has nothing to do with that. It's a nightly occurrence in Austin, especially right before springtime hits. The bats under the Congress Bridge always fly out. I can't guarantee there's 1.5 million bats.
But there's a ton of bats.
But there's a ton of bats. But it's not special. It's not for Batman's birthday. But, you know, it's just funny. All these articles are like, oh, look what DC and Warner Brothers is doing. And it's like, no.
Yeah, I saw one particular website, which I'm not gonna mention here. It seems like they're the first one to make that comment or make that, and then it kind of apparently sprung from that one particular post, and I was like, you did not read that press release carefully. That's not what they said that was gonna happen. So
I think they're going to gather fans to watch it because South by Southwest is going on right now. So there's like tons of people in Austin. So I think they may make it a special gathering, but it's not.
Which is a cool idea, honestly.
Yeah, because I think the article was like, where are they going to find 1.5 million bats? And it's like, no. For one thing, you don't want to release that many bats into a different ecosystem. I mean, that would be horrible. You just don't do that. But they're here. They've migrated back, and that's where they live. But yeah, it is cool they're going to do something, but the bats were supplied by nature.
Yeah, the bats were already there.
Yes.
Yep.
Not handpicked.
Auditioned and everything. What are you talking about?
Yeah. But it is pretty awesome if you've ever seen it. I mean, it is pretty amazing. Right at sunset, they all come flying out, and it's just black, you know?
And squeaky.
Yeah. And I always think of Batman, but, you know. But I did think that was pretty funny. See, that right there tells you how popular Batman is. One of the most, I don't know what they call South by Southwest, popular pop culture event.
It's a pretty big one.
Yeah. So it is kind of cool that they would even bring him up in that, you know.
Yep.
So, favorite Batman movie?
I don't know. That's hard.
They said you could only pick one, and the rest of them are going in the incinerator. Which Batman movie would you save?
I'd probably be a pain in the ass and save the Adam West one, the 66, the movie they made for that.
I forget about that one all the time.
Too late.
Okay, 2 movies.
Okay, now if we're doing 2 movies, yeah, I would do 66, and then I would do 89. The first Burton Batman. Those 2 would be my picks.
That would be my pick too. And to me, I think that's the reason why. Not that I haven't liked the other Batman versions, because of course they put Batman in the title. I'm there, but I compare them to Keaton and Nicholson, and there's just something those two captured together that was amazing. There's that word again.
It's a good word.
Yeah, it is a good word. That would be the two I would say.
I like the Christian Bale Batman, but there's just something about those movies, as well made as they are and all that. To me, there's just not there's something about them that if they're on, I may watch a little bit of it, but I'm not really, going, oh, I need to sit down and watch this.
Yeah.
I do basically with Batman '89, the Burton Batman, and unfortunately the Batman '66 doesn't get shown that often. But although I've got the movie, but but the show is always on. So yeah, I'll stop down and watch that too. But poor Ben Affleck. I think he wasn't given it a chance. I think he would have been okay, but whatever.
He suffered from questionable writing.
That's what I was about to say. Because at first they were shoving down our throats, it's an older Batman, it's an older Batman. And then, like I said, they jacked their own timeline on that, which kind of, unfortunately, Ben kind of paid the price for that one.
Yep.
Well, as we've talked on several occasions, it seems like Warner Brothers doesn't really have a game plan, and it's more reactionary than anything else. And that's not how you do things. And for things to be successful, there needs to be a game plan. It can be tweaked, but unless it's just a massive cluster, you go, because otherwise you're screwing everything up. I mean, now they're going to go with a younger Batman, and I'm going, well, but we've already got this established continuity supposedly. Or are we just going to throw that all away? But except for the Wonder Woman films and Aquaman film, you can't cherry pick. But that's a different topic. So, Les, which two Batman films are you saving? We already know it's going to be 66. What's the other one?
I enjoyed Keaton's Batman. Not necessarily the first Batman movie, though. Because, to me, Nicholson played to the camera the whole damn time. And I just couldn't take it. I would say my second saved would be the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, crap, I didn't think of that one either.
Just because he gets to say the password, which still cracks me up. When he has to give the password to, I think, get into the Batcave, and the password is Tony Stark sucks. That one was always funny to me. It still is funny. So that may be the route I take.
But see, even that Batman is I mean, he's very hammed it up and all, but he's still pretty serious.
Broody.
Yep. It's all ego for that particular incarnation of Batman, but it's still, he doesn't joke around. That's funny because he's just so over the top. it's not because he's trying to be funny. Anyway.
True. Yeah.
So
I agree.
No, I agree. That's a fun movie.
Yep. Alrighty. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Well, I don't think it would be fitting to talk about Batman and not at least mention Kevin Conroy. To me, animated Batman, that will always be Batman. You know. So he's contributed quite a bit to the Batman world too.
Yep.
Agreed.
And video games.
Yep. I think Conroy did. I think he went a long way toward giving Batman character. Just making. He did. He was very subtle, but he was one of the. I mean, in the movies, you could. I mean, the whole Bruce Wayne versus Batman thing. I don't think anybody took it seriously up to that point. But I think Conroy did, and I think he created a significant separation between the two characters.
Mm-hmm.
And still, I mean, did it with pretty much the same voice. But there was the clear difference, in my opinion anyway. So yeah, I think he contributed a lot to the character in general.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
Which I believe we've also talked about before, but that's okay.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Because we've talked about the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
But not on Batman Day.
No. That's why we're doing it now.
And as much as I like my girl Harley, I was quite upset that I think it was last year she hijacked Batman Day. And it's all well and good, you know, but the man's been around for 80 years and he should have his own day.
She just moved faster.
Yeah. Because she wasn't even drawn until what, 93?
It was early 90s because it was from the animated series.
Yeah.
Yep. One line. She became popular. So, but yeah, and while I do appreciate that she did come from that universe and everything, like I said, I think Batman should have his own day. He's earned that.
I doubt she'll hijack it this year.
Yeah, let's hope not.
That whole round number thing. They'll take it seriously.
Yeah. Like I said, and I know why they did it, but yeah, was not impressed.
Okay. Any other final thoughts?
No, I think this Batman guy is going to stick around.
Yeah,
Probably.
he may last a little while.
It could.
Mm.
He does have a chance.
I do want to say one thing. Let me get out my soapbox here. I hate to end this on a sour note, but this is kind of stuck in my craw. Yeah, I mean, you've alluded to some of it, Liz. The DC has announced a lot of different type of activities going on this year to celebrate Batman's 80th birthday. And that's all well and good. That's great. I love it. I'd like to know where all this celebration was last year for Superman's 80th. Because there wasn't. Are we going to see anything for Green Lantern or Flash, who are also turning 80 later on this year? No. Well, I get that. I understand that. Batman is the face of DC right now, and has been for a long time. But Superman got here. Superman was... People don't realize that right around the time the Adam West Batman show was about to debut, Batman was about to be canceled. due to low sales. It was him showing up on the TV show that renewed interest in the books. So, I mean, that's hard to imagine now that a Batman book would be canceled due to low sales. The only way it would be canceled now is if it was going to be relaunched, because the numbers are there. But it just kind of floored me that, you know, all this for him, but they didn't do anything for Superman. And hey, 2 years from now, guess who's turning 80 in 2 years? What are you going to do about her? You know, a lot of people are watching you now.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do about Wonder Woman? Especially now that you've had all the excitement about the first film, her appearance in Batman v Superman, and now we've got the sequel to Wonder Woman coming out here. Is it next year? Next year, or maybe 2021? If it's 2021, that would be perfect. That would be the perfect way to celebrate her 80th anniversary, is with the new film. But I think it may be 2020. What are you going to do there? You just going to put out a couple of books and then that's it? You can't do that. You really need to celebrate her birthday that you didn't for Superman. So that's just my complaint. I don't begrudge them doing anything for Batman. That's great. He's the toast of the town and has been. I get that, but it kind of, and I'm not a great big Superman fan. I like him, but it just is like it kind of I'm kind of disappointed by them doing so little for him. And it just makes me wonder what they're going to do in 2021. So,
yeah,
that's my 2 cents for what, if it's even worth that much.
So I think Superman brings them a lot of money, but not like Batman does. I think that's probably, but that's opinion. Don't quote me on that. You know.
Well, the fact that there's a Batman Day there's an annual Batman Day tells you that they're doing what they're going to do to, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just 80th anniversary.
Yeah.
That only happens once, and all we really got from DC was the trade, the hardcover collection, and then of course it happened to coincide with Action Comics 1000, which of course is his first appearance, and all that. And there was some kind of sparse merchandise that were themed for 80th anniversary, but that was it. There was no celebrations. I mean, you know, you can't duplicate what you're talking about. What you talked about with Austin, but you know what? Why did I don't remember there being anything going on for the Superman celebrations that happens in Metropolis every year. Where was the big hubbub then? I mean, that would have been perfect. Do something there, because they're
already doing something there.
Yeah, they're already doing something every year anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who don't know, there is a town called Metropolis, and I can't remember exactly where it is. I think it's like Illinois or Indiana, something like that.
Something like that.
And they have like a Superman museum, and it's like every year, there's sometime during the summer, there's like a big convention, and everybody across the country goes to this convention, and it's part of the celebration.
They've got like a big statue in the middle of town.
There's a big, yeah, because I mean, there was, yeah, with him with his arms on his sides or on his waist. I mean, there is a picture of him with Obama, President Obama, standing in front of him. I mean, that's a very well circulated picture. But I just don't remember DC doing anything last year. Mm-hmm. Even with that. It just seems like it was just like, oh, okay, well, we've done this, and that, so, you know, there you go. Let's move on to next year. We need to think about Batman. Yeah. And it's
There's
like,
a card cover we'll make you pay $60 for, though.
It just goes...
Yep.
it's a head scratcher.
I hadn't thought about it till you said it, but no, they don't do a lot for Superman.
So it just, like I said, I will be very curious. I'm going to be watching them when 2021 comes around and it's Wonder Woman's time. And what are you going to do about that? I can't see them not doing some major celebrations.
Yeah.
But, you didn't do it for the guy who basically started the whole superhero genre. It really kicked your company off and was the face of your company up until he died.
Yeah.
maybe right around there, early 90s. And then all of a sudden, or maybe even the first Burton Batman film. At some point right around there, it kind of switched to where, the focus seemed to be more on Batman because that's where the numbers were. Yeah. And I get that, but you just don't do that because you don't have that opportunity again.
Nope.
So, I'm getting off my soapbox. Any final thoughts before we take a quick break?
I can't top that one.
Yeah. Now that's suck the life out of the room.
I'm not going to try.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on that, I warned you. I warned you it was going to be kind of a bummer ending. So, with that, we are going to take a quick break and be back with picks. And we're back. It's time for our weekly picks, and leading off is Liz.
All right. For my first pick, I'm going with one from Zenescope. Last month, they released a Grimm Universe Presents, which had 8 stories about 8 different people that were about to be launched into their little universe. First one being Gretel. This is the first series. If you didn't read the Grimm Universe Presents, in her story, I think she got 8 pages to tell her story. But, of course, everybody knows Hansel and Gretel was trapped by the evil witch, and they finally shoved her in the oven, and da-da-da-da-da. Well, not in Zenescope.
Oh, no. It's never that simple with them.
Never that easy.
Which is great.
Hans actually died during that whole kidnapping thing, and she actually winds up eating the heart of the witch that killed her brother, which gave her, like, psychic powers and things. So this one will kind of start off and I guess kind of give us a little bit more of a foothold. Like I said, she got 8 pages to tell her story. So this is full issue. We'll figure out what's going on with her and probably a little bit more of that backstory for you that didn't get the Grimm Universe Presents. But like I said, interesting story. They laid it out really good. Like I said, a little twist there, which made it really interesting. So we'll have to see what Gretel's up to.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep, should be interesting.
Yep.
That sounds good.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Okie dokie. My first pick is an Image title, and it's finally back. I'm so excited. My first pick is Lazarus Risen, #1. Greg Rucka and Michael Lark are back at it, finally. They've had their little break. Everything should be good. They should be all rested up. There are a couple of little changes with this book, though. This book is going quarterly. That's kind of the downside. The upside is that we're talking about a 64-page book every quarter, so we're still going to get a bunch of story. And this story arc starts us off a couple of years after the last arc for the main Lazarus title. So the Conclave War is still going on, and I think they're going to start hopefully wrapping that up soon, but we will see. Either way, I am excited to get this back.
Wow, quarterly and 64 pages. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely different. That's an interesting approach, and I hope it works out for them.
Yep.
But probably will. Alrighty, I am next, and for my first pick, I'm going with a book from Aftershock Comics. It's Dark Red #1. This is written by Tim Seeley with art by Cornyn Howe. And this is the story of Chip, who works a late shift at a gas station and is also a vampire. Which makes sense. Late shift vampire.
Kinda, yeah.
But apparently his quote-unquote dull, bleak life will be turned upside down when she comes to town. Well, who's she? Well, we don't know. We're going to have to pick up the book and find out.
Oh, man.
Just the whole premise of a vampire working a late shift at a gas station kind of goes, okay. kind of interesting.
The slacker vampire.
There you go.
Should be cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Sounds
and
like
it's
fun.
Tim Seeley, so I mean, can't go wrong there.
Pretty much.
Alrighty, Les. You're next.
Okay, you can ask all the questions you want. Okay. My first choice comes from Dynamite Entertainment. It is Shape of Elvira #2. This is featuring Elvira having a romance with the Gill Monster. So these have been very entertaining, very amusing stories, and they're bringing in one of my favorite monsters, the Gill Man. So it's a 4-part miniseries. Latch onto it and enjoy.
Yeah, the first issue of this was pretty good. It's an interesting setup, to be sure.
I thought so too.
Alrighty. Liz, you're up again.
All right. For my second pick, it's out of DC Comics, and this will be Nightwing #58. If you've been reading the Nightwing series, Dick was shot in the head, and he's got like no memories of anything. So, of course, all of his little bat friends have kind of told him, hey, dude, you're Nightwing. This is what you need to be doing. He's totally rejected it. He no longer wants to be Nightwing. And instead of being called Dick, he's now called Rick. So in the middle of all of this and him losing his mind, who should come walking in but Dula Dent? So we will see Joker's daughter throw a little bit of crazy into this whole crazy situation. So should be pretty interesting. I've loved almost everything that they've put Dula into. The only thing I wasn't crazy about was Suicide Squad. And I'm glad they got her out of that and put her over with Red Hood for a while. So should be pretty good if you're a fan of Joker's daughter. This will be the issue to pick up for you.
The only thing you weren't crazy about.
Yeah. Yeah, you noticed a lot of crazies, didn't you?
Yeah, there was a lot of crazies in that, yes.
There was. So I think they went with the easy putting her against Harley. And like for the first 5 issues, it was kind of like, oh God, just kill her. Kill her. Kill her, get it over with, you're done. So,
Dang.
yeah.
That's harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, that's the way they wrote it, though. You just really, it was any kind of cliche thing you can think of, Joker's daughter and Harley, they did, you know.
I imagine so.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, this one should be better, where she's got her own thing, and she's always been better on her own.
Cool. Does sound
Yep.
interesting.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, Mike.
All right, my second pick is an IDW title, and we're getting a new Dungeons and Dragons series. There are a couple of interesting things about this, though. Number one, Jim Zub's not writing it, so it's not going to be the haha Dungeons and Dragons series that we've been getting, which I have enjoyed the hell out of, mind you. But this one is called Dungeons and Dragons: A Darkened Wish. This is issue number 1. The new writer they're bringing in is B. Dave Walters, and the artist for this is going to be Tess Fowler, which is always interesting because she's a really good artist. But this is, for those who are in the know, this is actually going to be set in the Forgotten Realms. And so we've got a whole new set of heroes and whole new geography, basically. Let's say that. The last set was in Forgotten Realms. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be interesting to see how this works. They've been, like I said, they've been knocking it out of the park with the comics lately, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them continue to do that.
Good choice.
Yep, interesting.
And
Definitely interesting.
And D&D is really freaking popular right now, so that doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm up next, and for my second choice, I'm going with a new title from Black Mass Comics called Dismantlers, written by Aria Bassi, B-A-C-I, with art by Ashley Woods. Dismantlers is a group that, this is a sci-fi book. Dismantlers are a group that go around to failed outposts and basically dismantle them and salvage what they can. And so this is about their story. This is about their life. It sounds kind of interesting. It's definitely something I don't think it's been done before, which is always something that catches my eye. So, Ashley, I remember her work from Niobe, She Is Life. So I'm definitely curious to see how this one goes.
Cool.
Woods did that. Which series were you talking about?
Dismantlers.
No, you noted that Woods did what again?
Niobe, She Is Life.
Oh, okay. Because I remember Woods doing the robots book. Am I right?
The Zombies versus Robots?
Yes. Am I barking up wrong tree here, or? Well, never mind.
Well, why don't you go ahead and do your... Go ahead.
I was going to say, that was Ashley Wood.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Les, your pick.
Since I've messed up everything tonight, my second choice is Firefly Bad Company #1 from Boom Studios. Firefly has been an interesting concept since its days on television. They've been able to pull those characters forward into the comics, into books also. In this one, it's a history of the characters, one of the characters of Firefly, and that's Saffron. So you get to find what her life was like with a marriage, and as an origin story, it's going to be a strong piece. I believe it is a one-shot at 40 pages, so I'm looking forward to it just to see what direction they do take with it.
Cool.
Yeah. Saffron was a character that got really popular with almost no screen time whatsoever. I mean, basically she was in one episode with, I think, a small appearance in a second one. And yeah, I mean, other than jumpstarting Christina Hendricks' career, we didn't get anywhere near enough of Saffron before, so I'm kind of looking forward to this too.
Alrighty. And our honorable mention this week is...
All right. Well, finishing out our Batman discussion, we went with Batman Arkham, Ra's al Ghul. This one will take a lot of the stories that Ra's al Ghul was in, including, I think we decided, his first appearance, Batman number 232, 243, and 244, plus it looks like many, many more. Instead of telling a complete story, this one, like I said, is going to be a collection of the best from Ra's al Ghul, which, of course, we know he's the head demon. I think that's what his name means, is the head demon of the League of Assassins. So, and Talia's father, who had a baby with Batman. So, yeah, he kind of hates Batman, just a smidge. So, should be good. Like I said, if you don't know a lot about Ra's al Ghul, this would be definitely the trade to pick up, because these are best of the best.
Good stuff.
Good stuff, yep.
Alrighty. Any special mentions or shout-outs this week?
Don't think so.
Alright, we'll get to our regular shout-outs then. First off, I want to thank Pop Goes the Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be a part of such a great group of podcasts. You'll see a link in our show notes. Definitely go check out some of those shows. Some great people there. I also want to do a shout out to Potter and Family for spreading the word of the Fellowship on Twitter. Easiest way to go check out some of their shows is to just go to Twitter. Don't necessarily have to have an account, and do a search, #Potter and Family, and just scroll through, and any shows catch your attention, download them and check them out. Thank you guys for your support. I also want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying the music for our shows. Great musicians, great guys. Definitely go check out their music. We'll have a link to their show notes. They have a couple of EPs out of some quality stuff. Just listen for yourselves, and you be the judge. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We appreciate your support. We value your feedback. We would love to hear from you. Any kind of comment, suggestion, question, complaint, observations, what have you. We would love to hear from you. And there are several ways you can do that. You can go to the website. Once again, that's www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Go to our About Us page, and there's a contact form you can fill out. Or you can just send us an email. Email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, and we'll get that. Feel free to follow us on social media, and you can contact us that way as well. We're on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks, and on Twitter, obviously, at Fellowship Geeks. And if you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, feel free. Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_Geek, and I can be found at TomTC Geek. And when you download our shows from whatever service you use, if you would please rate and review us, it would be greatly appreciated. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate you listening.
Thank you for listening, everybody. We do appreciate it. Y'all take care. And until next time, read more comics and support your local stores.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,